I want to talk about Richard Dawkins for a second. Most people would be aware of Richard Dawkins. He's the most famous atheist in the world, probably. I've studied his work quite closely for a long time now. I went through the whole new atheist phase, and I admire Richard Dawkins. And two of the people, Sam Harris and Christopher Hitchens, would be great heroes of mine. Dawkins wouldn't be necessarily. I'm a little ambivalent about him, but I do respect him as a scientist and an intellectual. And of late, he's pushing back against the people I despise, frankly, which are the far lefties. And yeah, he made a fairly coherent point. It was a question. He wasn't even taking a position on it himself, but he tweeted out something. I'll read it to you verbatim here. In 2015, Rachel Dolezal, a white chapter president of the NAACP, was vilified for identifying as black. Some men choose to identify as women, and some women choose to identify as men. You will be vilified if you deny that. You will be vilified if you deny that they are literally what they identify as. So he was basically making the point that somebody can change their gender/sex, but if they try to change their race, they are absolutely vilified, which is true. The argument against this is that, oh, you haven't had the experiences of black people, and then you can just revert to being white, you know? I don't know how the same argument wouldn't apply to people that want to change from a man to a woman. You say, well, you know, none of the experiences of being a woman, you didn't have to grow up a woman, and then you can just change back to being a man. It's the exact same argument, in my opinion. But yeah, at the end of his tweet there, he said, discuss. In other words, he wasn't taking a position on this necessarily, but he was putting it out there for people to debate and discuss. And what I've noticed is the people pushing like critical race theory in America, or the idea that men, you know, are actually women, they, you know, can actually become women. They won't debate this stuff. They will come out with kind of hyperbole like, you're denying my existence. I don't have to debate my existence. You know, this kind of stuff. So that's the way they worm out of it. They just want to change categories. They want to change the nomenclature of certain things. They want to change our society in pretty extreme ways, but they don't want to actually have to talk about this stuff. They just say, well, this is the way it is now. We're burning the whole system down. We're telling you how it is. And if you even question it, you're a bigot. We're going to call you names. The mob is going to come after you until you completely capitulate. You know, they won't debate this stuff. Ibram X. Kendi in the States pushing his CRT nonsense won't debate with anybody, ever. Same with Robin DiAngelo. They will not talk with conservatives. They will not talk with liberals, like well-intentioned, honest liberals. They do exist, by the way. People like AOC, you know, the far lefties, they won't even talk to Bill Maher, who is a left-winger, because apparently, you know, he's too extreme for her. I mean, what does that say about people like this? And when I come to a certain topic or an argument that is, hotly contested at the moment, before even knowing the details about something, I have a bias towards believing the people that are willing to have the conversation, even before I go into the details. Now, I don't obviously stop there. I will go into the details before I make my mind up and have any kind of solid views on it at all. But it's like an involuntary response that I can't help having a bias toward the people that are willing to debate, they're willing to put their views out there to be examined and criticized. The side that says, well, we're just going to assert not what we believe to be true, but what is actually true. It's like a religious dogma that has come down from the mountaintop. It cannot be questioned. I have a serious bias against that kind of person because I believe their ideas won't stand up to scrutiny. If a person has solid ideas and solid opinions, they would welcome criticism. I remember Sam Harris when he wrote the Moral Landscape, and he was doing book tours, and he was welcoming this criticism. He says, if anybody has any arguments against my thesis here, please make a line there and, give me your best shot. He wanted the best arguments against his thesis. Because he wanted to see if they stand up to withering criticism. That is what it means to have solid ideas. But the other side just assert what they believe to be true and then call anybody a bigot or shut them down if they not only criticize them but even want to have the conversation. There's a great quote from the medieval philosopher Tyrion Lannister from my favorite series of books, A Song of Ice and Fire, the show Game of Thrones came from. And he said that if you cut out a man's tongue, you're not proving him a liar. You're just afraid of what he might say. And I think that is so true when it comes to free speech. When you shut down somebody, you're not proving their positions to be spurious or fallacious in any way. All you're proving is that you're incredibly afraid of what they might say, that their positions actually might not be falsified as easily as you may think. And essentially, people listening will come to the realization that they have better ideas than you. That's the thing about bad ideas. They don't respond well to criticism. They really don't. You can look through history, the Soviet regime, you can, whatever it is, Nazism, certain religions, they don't welcome this kind of criticism because they're not logically coherent and in sync with objective reality, or they're just plain wrong or immoral. And people will realize this if these ideas are aired out in public in the what they call the marketplace of ideas. People will see this, and I think these charlatans know deep down that their ideas don't stand up to scrutiny. The likes of Kendi in the States, he knows. That's why he doesn't debate. Brett Weinstein, he's not a right-wing bigot, for God's sake. He's a progressive. He won't even talk to a guy that's on his side of the political spectrum that just agrees with him on this topic. He won't talk to anybody who disagrees with him. It's John Stuart Mill. If you only know your side of the argument, you know little of that. You've got to be able to talk to people on the other side of an argument and test the veracity of your ideas and your points of view. And you just don't see that with the leftists these days. You certainly don't see it with these woke people. They won't debate. They won't have these conversations. And really all they do is, well, their logical fallacies are beyond counting, but one that they constantly use is the appeal to emotion, which is, well, you're denying my existence, and there's a trans genocide and things like this. And I'm like, can we just debate these ideas on their merits or lack thereof? Why is it always an appeal to emotion? If you question their ideas, they will just call you names, call you a bigot, and there's a reason why they don't debate this stuff. But yeah, Mr. Dawkins, keep up the good work.